So recent figures show that netball is the women's #1 sport in the UK, yet only one game is shown a week on national television. Like men's sport, netballers want more matches shown live on the top TV channels to encourage women to watch and participate in sport. Here are some aspiring netballers talking about what they think.
I think that compared to a lot of male sports like football and rugby, it is in the media a lot less.
No, I think male sports are represented a lot more, and I think it'd be a lot better if more female sports were in the media to inspire young women.
Well, it is on media, but I'd be better if it was more, because you can find it on Sky, but you have to search it, so it's not actually visible to anyone, and as much as football and stuff in the fixtures, so you have to actually research what's on, and yeah, it's not very good if you want to watch it.
Well, we've got Hannah here with us now from Manchester Thunder, who's also part of the Under-19 England squad. So, Hannah, your team is currently taking part in the Vitality Super League, and this is a really big deal. Some may say it's netball's version of the Premier League, but do you believe that there's enough coverage of matches and the sport in general?
Yeah, I especially think that coverage for netball in particular has become massive, especially since the Commonwealth Games last year. But we know, like everyone knows, that all matches aren't on Sky, they're not all being covered, and they're not even necessarily being covered on social media as much as we'd still like to. Particularly with England netball, yeah, maybe, but with the Super League, not as much as we'd like to. So definitely improvements, but it's just not quite where we'd want it to be at the moment.
Do you feel like there's an equal representation between men and women's sport? Do you think that football and rugby obviously get covered on ITV and BBC? Is that something you'd quite like to see for netball?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the biggest aim for both men and female, to be equally covered across all sports, whether it's netball or football or things like golf or athletics, where it's not as covered as much. And then, like you mentioned, like there's bigger sports channels like the ITV and the BBC where sports like netball aren't covered as much, especially in comparison to football. So yeah, I think that's definitely the bigger aim. But Sky Sports are doing great at the moment with the whole netball coverage, so yeah.
So where did it all start for you? When did you start playing netball?
I started playing at primary school, not really competitively, just kind of like because my friends were doing it and the teachers just kind of like mentioned it because I was quite into sport. But I'd say I'm more into high school, so year 7, year 8 I started taking it more seriously, so going on to play for like local like Sunday leagues, so yeah.
And you were nominated for a trial for England in March 2015 when you were just 16. We've got a picture of you here. Can you just tell us a bit more about that and where you went from then?
Yeah, so on the first one in the 2015 I was unsuccessful, which was a massive kind of like blow, but what's great about the England netball system is they don't just look at you once, they want to keep looking at you, so as soon as you're kind of mentioned in that system, you're always kind of there. So they would carry on watching all the matches that I was in and that kind of thing. And from that, I then got a retrial about 6 months later in the October and got onto the squad, which was like a massive kind of like big achievement because it wasn't just a one-time thing. I had to progress over those months, so just keeping that in the back of your head was like great.
So almost to see how you'd improved.
Yeah, definitely.
So, as a girl growing up, there weren't many role models in sports, but do you have one at all?
I didn't. I think I was just doing it for the enjoyment. I didn't really look up to anyone. I just kind of to be the better version of me and kind of like look at my past self and see how far I'd come, whether that was from last week's training session or from like last month's like big game or something. But I remember one sports person that I think every girl pretty much loved growing up, especially in our era, was Jessica Ennis. And just seeing how far she came was just like, whether it was in my sport or not, was just like phenomenal. And it's a shame that she's not competing as much anymore. But yeah, I'd say she was probably one of the biggest ones.
So as a sportswoman, do you have any advice for younger girls maybe wanting to get into netball or maybe even more male-dominated sport, just getting into sport in general? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I'd just say just go for it. Just go and give it a go. Like, not every sport is for everyone. Like, I've definitely learned that. But there's something for everyone. Like, there's so many sports to just go and just try, whether you think you're too old or you're too young or you're a male or you're a female or you don't think you've got the skill set or you're not confident enough. Just go with a friend, go with anyone. Just, just go for it.
So, do you still plan on playing netball into your 20s, 30s?
Yeah, definitely. That's like a big kind of question, I think, for a lot of people at the moment, especially because they're kind of on the fence about it becoming a professional sport and taking it full time. But definitely, like 100%, whether it's professional or not, I definitely want to be playing it until they kind of tell me not to.
You've clearly got many sporting memories and moments ahead of you. Thank you for talking to us today, Hannah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.